Neil, good to see you. I guess we'll start with brilliant 3 points on Saturday, a few days on. What are your reflections on that?
Exactly that. I think at this point we have to have a bit of substance over style. Away from home, I think it was a classic 1-0 win. I don't think it was a hit and run. I don't think we got battered and nicked one at the end. I think they probably had 3 clear-cut chances. We probably had 3 clear-cut chances. So I think in fairness, we nullified what they're good at. We matched the intensity that they play at that causes you all sorts of problems, and gave ourselves a platform to at least be in the game.
Right, so a lot's been made about these late goals that have come in recent weeks, but on a more serious note, what does that say about the group of players that you have?
I think it's 2 things. I think, and I said it to them in the meeting before the game the other day, I said they're fitter than they realise now. I think that we're building up towards this last third now, and hopefully we've been through a lot of stuff with injuries, and I think at one point we had about 13 players out, and we've got everybody where they need to be, and now my job with Saturday, Tuesday coming up is to manage them. So I think the fitness levels are really strong, but I also think the team spirit and the mentality in the groups improved. I think they're genuinely fighting, and they're fighting till the death, whether they're 1-0 down, whether it's 0-0. They believe they can score. They believe that they can get ourselves out of the situation we found ourselves in at the start of the season, and put the 2 together, and it's resulting in some late goals.
And is it about that for you, regardless of the scoreline at any point in the match, just keeping that belief?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things I've learned as a manager in the last 10-12 years is team spirit and momentum are big things, and I said again in the meeting before the game the other day, we're in the final third of the season now, we've got to stick together, and that message goes to everybody at the club, to the owners, to the fans, everybody. A club and a team that sticks together and gets behind each other is a powerful tool when it comes to trying to handle the pressure of the situation we're in.
I know since you came into the club and with your short-term aims, fitness being one of them, getting that belief back in the squad, we are in that final third of the season now. Apart from the obvious one, staying in the division, what are the short-term aims and building blocks do you want to see now?
I'm just honestly, I know it's a really sort of poor cliche in football, but it is literally just trying to take each game as you come. You can't look too far ahead. I've said all along we need to get beyond 50 points. You can see how tight it is down there. 1 win you could go 12th, 1 loss you could go 2 points from bottom. It's sort of unprecedented. Normally over the last few seasons the sort of bottom third's got a little bit detached. This season there's loads in it. Everyone's got to play each other. You look at the fixtures, everyone's playing each other because there's so many teams. When you've got 12, 13 teams, basically within a sort of 6-7 point gap, everybody's involved in it, and our job's just to focus on York City and try and just chip away until we get there.
And that focus has to be even more, doesn't it? As you say, 1 win could see you move up a few places, a defeat could see you move down. It's that time, that focus really has to be there more than any other time.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking with the owners the other day, and I said, the one thing I've learned in this situation, because I've been there before, is you can't control what other clubs do. So if Kiddie go on a 4 or 5 game winning run, if Ebbsfleet start winning, I can't control that. I can only control what we do. Or try and control what we do, and that's why we try not to look at the league and just sort of go, right, we're on 37, another 13 to 15 points. That's what we've got to aim for, because not everyone can get them. Long
trip back after the win, as you say, a hard-fought win. It was a really one of those performances where 100% needed to get that win. Long journey back. Has everyone come through it all right?
We've got some aches and strains. We get a report from the physio last night. Some aches and strains are in there, but we're training this afternoon. We want to give the boys a bit of extra recovery, so we will assess everybody in the next hour or 2. We'll go out and train at 2 o'clock, and I've already got my thoughts on how we need to approach Tuesday. Me and Joe would have done our homework on Dorking. We'll have a good chat today and see how we both feel about that, and try and we may have to freshen it up a little bit. I know it's early in the Saturday Tuesday runs, but I've said to the squad we're going to need everybody, and if I show the squad I'm willing to use everybody, then it keeps everyone on their toes.
Saturday, Tuesday as well, and keeping the squad fresh. It's 3 consecutive home games coming up. Just how big of an opportunity is that for you to put some points towards that 50-point benchmark?
Yeah, I mean we say that, but I wouldn't say we've got scintillating home form. I think we've only won about 3 at home. I don't think we've lost loads, but I think we've only won about 3 at home. So it's something we need to improve. But the confidence we've got from knowing we can go away from home and have a game plan and not get overrun also gives us the belief that we can pick up the points. Yeah. Obviously, home's a good place to try and do it, and having 3 on the trot's a good time to try and stick at least 1 or 2 wins on the board at home. But it won't be for the want of trying. But there's 2 teams out there.
Well, how do you build on that then? Like a good away performance like that, going into the home games, as you mentioned, only 3 wins here. How do you build on those away performances to take them into here?
Yeah, I'd again just take the opposition for what they are. I always praise the opposition because I know how tough it is for the manager, and you're never going to sit here as a manager and say, they're rubbish, we'll beat them. Dorking, the sort of team, I know they're down there, they're very, very open and they're very brave. So, we could go into this game, and I think in Dorking's, I look at all the stats in the last 12 games, they've dominated possession in about 10 of them. So, we might have to go in there and go, okay, are they going to be better with the ball than us? How are we going to win the game? The fans will have to have patience with us, like when we played Gateshead, and we'll have to try and work out the best way for us to win this game, and then, on Wednesday I'll start focusing on Dagenham.
They've picked up a fair number of wins despite their league position as well. Does it add anything extra to the game knowing that you're both in similar positions? Because that could make that gap even bigger, couldn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. A loss gives them 3 points. A draw, we only get a point each. So there's all sorts of things going there. All I can do is I can't overthink all of that. I look at Dorking and go, what are they good at? What's their strengths? How can they cause us problems? And then on the flip side, what can we try and exploit with them, and then try and make sure that in the next couple of hours today I'll get that message across to the players as clear as I can. Obviously we can't overtrain because we'll be tired from the Saturday's game, but try and make sure that when they go on the pitch there's clarity on the game plan, and we're ready for every outcome, and then at that point as a manager the fingers get crossed and you hand it over to the players.
In the opposite dugout, Mark White, bit viral on social media at times. Have you come across Mark at all?
Yeah, Mark's a friend of mine. I spoke to him a lot. I used to be a Wimbledon fan, Mark, so back in the day when I obviously played and managed there. He's a good guy. I think he's box office entertainment. He makes my interviews look boring, and probably most managers, but I like what he tries to do there. They're very brave, and again I go back through, I look at all the expected goals from their last few games, I look at the chances they create. They could have beat Halifax 4-3 on Saturday, and they could have also lost 6-1. It's they had so many good chances, so many good moments that they didn't take, and they got caught on the break a few times, which killed the game off. So we've got to make sure they don't create loads here, and we get loads against them. That's the aim, and that's what the game plan will be.
Have you exchanged a few words already?
No. He'll probably be able to go at me from when the game got cancelled. I tried my best for him that day to give him as early notice as I could, but obviously, it was unfortunate the game couldn't go ahead, and now we're all left with some Saturday Tuesdays, which isn't ideal, but it's a good time to try and get a good run together.
Well, just lastly on that Saturday Tuesday and that busy schedule, again, it's always been the way at this level and in League Two. How do you just deal with that as a manager in terms of training plans, recovery, things like that? Yeah,
we're big on it. I've done it for many years. We've got Paul Harmston's our fitness guy. He's really, really on everything. We've got live GPS. We'll look at how we need to train today. We'll look at the bodies, where everybody is, and we'll make some judgment calls. If there's players we feel like are an injury risk or tired or carrying something, we'll definitely won't be scared to use other players. So that's what I've told all the squad: stay at it, stay on it, because you never know when you're going to be needed.
Best of luck for it. Thanks for your time.
Hi Neil, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Just reflecting on the song again, how much of a testament is it to your squad that you've got a player the calibre of Reynolds on Lewis who can come off the bench and make an impact like it did?
I think it shows we've improved the squad since I've been here. I don't know if you remember, in my first sort of 6 weeks, 2 months, we had a bit of an injury crisis, but we literally had one forward on the bench, and that was it. We didn't have one forward on the starting lineup, and we didn't even have a forward on the bench. I didn't even have a forward to bring on. So that's where we was, and now we feel we can put 2 good forwards on the pitch and 2 good forwards on the bench. So, you know, whether it was Billy Chadwick coming off the bench or Will Davis or Lenny, we feel we've got different qualities. If you look back at the Oxford game, Lenny and Will Davis come off the bench and added a real zest to the team and got us the 3 points. And Lenny's come off again and got us the 3 points here. So, yeah, long may that continue, because your subs are really, really important.
Yeah, looking at Dorking on Tuesday night then. Where do you think they can threaten your team in terms of their strongest sort of players?
They've got a lot of pace in the flanks. They do create a lot of chances. I think Mark will probably sort of lament the fact they don't take as many as they possibly could. I do think they're all about creating overloads. They'll try and overload you. They'll try and dominate the ball. They'll try and get their players in good positions to go at you. They're very brave, and it's probably been at times to their detriment where they've been so open that teams have counter-attacked. That's certainly what Halifax did on Saturday. But then, like I said, Dorking could have won the game 4 or 5-3. Halifax could have won it 6-1. It was chances at both ends, and whether Mark will continue with that approach, I don't know. All I can do is make sure that how we go about things suits the strengths of my players. I can't play how Dorking are playing at the moment, or Fylde or one of them. I'll play how York City's best chance of getting results and to the strengths of their players, and try and exploit any weaknesses they've got.
Do you think it'll make much of a difference how Dorking might be used to playing on a 3G surface for their home games?
It's a difficult one. Sutton United got promoted and they had a 3G, but their away form was the best in the division. So 3Gs certainly take a little bit of getting used to, but we can't complain when it comes to if we was playing away from home on a 3G, because we seem to have trained on it quite a lot recently. So there is that difference between home and away for teams like that. Same with Bromley, but I think you'll find most of them know how to win away from home as well, so I don't think it makes a difference.
Looking at your team news, you mentioned last week that Dan Matter could probably play around 70 minutes. Is he likely to start on Tuesday night without giving away too much in the team news? He's
certainly in contention. I'm not holding back on Dan Batty now, because I don't think he's fit and sharp enough to play. I'm trying to pick the right games, and even when I do pick the right games, you're not going to have somebody who's been out for 2 to 3 months and then throw him into Saturday, Tuesday every single game. So I've got to look at where Dan Batty's strengths can be used, and if I feel that tomorrow might be a game that can happen, then obviously that will come into my thinking.
And Ollie Dyson was in a protective boot last Saturday. Any update on him? Or?
Again, I'll find out a little bit more today, but he was in that just for like precautionary measures. I'm sure he'll be back and running on it. I don't think there was anything that was a break or anything like that. I think it was just needing it to settle down, and hopefully he'll be back running and back in contention for whether he's finishing off his loan or whether it's coming back into the fold for us.
One player who's been receiving quite a lot of orders this week, George Sykes-Kentworth. Just how impressive have you been with him since he came to the club?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I looked a lot at George in the summer when I was at a different club, so I knew, he was on my radar back then, so I knew what qualities he brought. Obviously, being a northern lad, it was quite an easy decision for us to make to add him as a young lad to the squad. Obviously, there's lots of challenges when you come from part-time training into full-time. But George, we've tried to manage him when he couldn't play in the cup. We've tried to give him a little bit of time off, because it doesn't matter whether you're a goalkeeper or not, you still get tired, mental fatigue, so we've got to try and manage that. But we've got 3 good goalkeepers here, and they all push each other in training, and the goalkeepers union is a harmonious one, and I think that can only help benefit all 3 of them.
And how do you think he's managed to step up since he's made moves naturally a couple of months ago? Because it's not level, he's very regular.
No, listen, there's no doubt in the defensive record has been strong, certainly in the last sort of 14, 15 games, but part of that, George has played a big part of that, but also the defence has tightened up. The one thing I inherited was the worst defensive record in the league. We were too open, we were not cohesive enough in our defending, and we've worked hard to make sure that everybody does that job, from forwards to midfielders to defenders. So I think it's a team ethic, a team thing that protects the goalkeeper. And then obviously when they're called upon, you need them to do what they're good at. So I certainly think he's managed to do that, but the team need the plaudits.
Last thing from me, you mentioned how you want to sort of improve that home record to the LDR as a bit of a fortress kind of. How big a role can the supporters play behind that?
Yeah, massive. Obviously there's a, when you're at home, supporters want to see you on the front foot, they want to see you being the better team, you're the home team, go and dominate them and show us, and anxiety can creep in even in fans, let alone players, and that's the thing you have to manage in home games, is anxiety both in the squad, because they're at home and they're expected to do well, and the supporters, and up until now I think they've been brilliant. I think second half at Maidenhead, we were throwing everything we could at it, and they were right behind us, and there was no grumbling. They kept pushing us to the end, and we couldn't quite get the goal we wanted. And again, tomorrow's going to be no different. They're tense games. The next 3 games are all teams in that bottom half. Next 2 games, they're going to be tense games, and the fans can help us when things aren't going well. Like I said when I first arrived, so enjoy us when we're good, and support us when we're struggling. At the moment, we're in a dogfight, and we need support.